Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Alukaite Krishna Nana Yatna Kore. Tatapi Tanhara Bhakta Janaye Tanhare. Apana, himself. Lukaite, to hide. Krishna, Lord Krishna. Nana, various. Yatna, efforts. Kode, makes. Tatapi, still. Tanhara, his. Bhakta, devotee. Janaye, knows. Tanhare, him. Lord Sri Krishna tries to hide himself in various ways, but nevertheless his pure devotees know him as he is. Ulangita trividasima samathishayi. Sambhavanam tava privartimasvabhavam. Maya balena bhavatapi niguyamanam. Ashyanti kechidanisim sam tvadananya bhava. O my Lord, everything within material nature is limited by time and space and thought. Your characteristics, however, being unequaled and unsurpassed, are always transcendental to such limitations. You sometimes cover such characteristics by your own energy, but nevertheless, your unalloyed devotees are always able to see you under all circumstances. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This verse is also quoted from the Stotra Ratna of Yamunacharya. Everything covered by the influence of Maya is within the limited boundaries of time, of space, time, and thought. Even the greatest manifestation we can conceive, the sky, also has limitations. From the authentic scriptures, however, it is evident that beyond the sky is a covering of 7 layers, each 10 times thicker than the one preceding it. The covering layers are vast, but with or without covering, space is limited. Our power to think about space and time is also limited. Time is eternal. We may imagine billions and trillions of years, but that will still be an inadequate estimate of the extent of time. Our imperfect senses, therefore, cannot think of the greatness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, nor can we bring Him within the limitations of time or our thinking power. His position is accordingly described by the word ulangita. He is transcendental to space, time, and thought. Although he appears within them, he exists transcendentally. Even when the Lord's transcendental existence is disguised by space, time, and thought, however, pure devotees of the Supreme Lord can see him in his personal features beyond space, time, and thought. In other words, even though the Lord is not visible to the eyes of ordinary men, those who are beyond the covering layers because of their transcendental devotional service can still see him. The sun may appear covered by a cloud, but actually it is the eyes of the tiny people below the cloud that are covered, not the sun. If those tiny people rose above the cloud in an airplane, they could then see the sunshine and the sun without impediment. Similarly, although the covering of Maya is very strong, Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad-gita, Dai vihesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mam eva ye prapadyante mayameta tarantite. This divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. To surpass the influence of the illusory energy is very difficult. But those who are determined to catch hold of the lotus feet of the Lord are freed from the clutches of Maya. Therefore, pure devotees can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but demons, because of their miscreant behavior, cannot understand the Lord, in spite of seeing the many revealed scriptures and the uncommon activities of the Lord. Om Ajnantimirandasya Jnananjana Chalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Caitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Jatapatakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahakana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahakana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vidamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patithanam Bhavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. It's my great honor and fortune to serve all of you by following your instructions to speak, my exalted God brothers, senior Vaishnavas, God sisters, all devotees, my Dandavat pranams to all. His Holiness Lokanath Maharaj, you have performed great miracle here at Noida, at HH Radha Temple. Thank you. Nityananda Prabhu's mercy is showering upon His Holiness Lokanath Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj, in this very polluted city. Delhi is more famous for its pollution than anything else. Throughout the world, people are talking about the pollution of Delhi, and I think Noida is even more. And in this place, they have established on behalf of Srila Prabhupada pure unalloyed devotional service. The highest and purest of all benedictions is bhakti. And by their mercy, Shri Radha Govinda have appeared in this most polluted place to create Vrindavan. It is very special. I believe here at this temple every Sunday you read from Sri Caitanya caritamrta. By Krishna's grace, by Prabhupada's mercy, today is the anniversary, Rama Ekadasi, 1974, when Srila Prabhupada completed writing and translating and purports for Sri Caitanya Charitamrita. The concluding words of Sri Caitanya Charitamrita, I'd like to begin by reading. And it's very interesting because no other books really does Prabhupada end with concluding words. Today, meaning today, Sunday, today's November 10th, 1974, corresponding to the 10th of Kartik, Caitanya era 488, the 11th day of the dark fortnight, the Rama Ekadasi. We have now finished the English translation of Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Sri Caitanya Charitamrita in accordance with the authorized order of His Divine Grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj, my beloved eternal spiritual master, guide, and friend. At the end of class, if there's time, I'd like to read this entire concluding word of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada wrote this concluding word for Sri Caitanya Charitamrita at Radharas Bihari Temple in Juhu, Mumbai. Today we're reading from the Adi Leela, chapter 3, text 88 and 89. Lord Sri Krishna tries to hide himself in various ways, but nevertheless the pure devotees know him as he is. Srila Prabhupada in purport is explaining how great is Krishna. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was telling Rupa Goswami about the path of bhakti and the loving relationships between Krishna and devotees, he said, I am going to describe just a single drop from the limitless, shoreless, bottomless ocean of Krishna's glories. But even this single drop can completely flood, inundate the entire universe. To understand Krishna is to have deeper and deeper realizations that we cannot understand Krishna. In academic world, the more you know, the tendency is you can become very proud that I know so much. But in understanding the absolute truth, if we're not just speaking of knowing with the brain, we're speaking of understanding with the heart. The more we know, the more humble and insignificant we feel, because there's such a limitless amount to be known. Srila Prabhupada is describing here, when we speak about eternity, this is time. Even billions and trillions of years are utterly insignificant compared to eternity. Krishna says, time I am. Srila Prabhupada is talking about the sky and the space. Even beyond this universe, the spiritual sky. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. All spiritual, all material worlds, everything that exists is emanating from Krishna. The wise who know this perfectly engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. The more we know Krishna, the more we have to humble ourselves to surrender to Krishna. Krishna can never be known by any material qualifications. I was recently listening to some lectures of Srila Prabhupada in Bhubaneswar in 1977. Srila Prabhupada was saying again and again that one cannot understand Krishna by our own powers. He said again and again, you cannot understand Krishna no matter how good you can speak about him, no matter how popular you become. No matter how many scriptures you memorize, no matter how much charity you have given, no matter how much tapasya you can do. One can only understand Krishna when Krishna is pleased to reveal himself to you. It is the descending process. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavrita mudhoyam nabijananti lokamam ajamabhyayan. Krishna tells in Gita. He's everywhere. Krishna tells in Bhagavad-gita, for one who sees me everywhere and everything in me, for that person he's never lost, nor is they ever lost to me. Why can't we see Krishna? Krishna tells he covers himself by his yogamaya potency. Is explaining this is like a cloud. We can't see the sun when the cloud is there. Krishna Surya Sam, Maya Hoya Andhakar. Krishna is like the sun and Maya is like darkness. In the presence of the sun, there cannot be darkness. Krishna is present everywhere. Why is there so much darkness in our life? Because even though he's within and without everyone by his energies, we cannot see him. unless he is pleased to reveal himself to us. Avajananti mamudha manosim tanamashata param bhavam ajananto mama buddha maheshwara. Fools deride me, Krishna tells. They do not understand my transcendental nature. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam tadami buddha-yogam tam yena mamupayantate. Krishna is giving the key to perfection. To those who are constantly devoted, priti purvakam, and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they could come to me. There's no other way. Bhaktya tvananyaya shakya aham evam vidorajana gyatam drastam cha tatvena praveshtam cha parantapa. Only by undivided devotion, bhakti, can I be understood as I am, standing here before you, and can be seen directly. Bhaktya mama vijanati avanyaschasmi tatvata tatomam tatvato gyatva vishire tadarantaram. Again, Krishna tells, only by undevoted devotion can I be understood as I am. When Krishna reveals himself, then he says, when you understand me, then you will enter into the spiritual world. Yeyatamam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamya. Mama vartmanuvartante manushya parata sarvasya. Krishna reveals himself according to our surrender. Sharanagati, taking shelter, is the heart of bhakti. As long as we think we're great, we can never really take shelter. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, who has descended into this world to teach us through his own activities and especially through his devotees what it means to surrender. Lord Caitanya, in the role of devotee when he was standing before Lord Jagannath in Puri, he offered that beautiful prayer, Naham Gopi Bharatur Padakamaliyora Dasa Das Das Anudas. I'm not Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas. These are roles we play and duties we must perform according to the role we have in this world. But samsadir haritoshanam, the whole purpose of everything. Atapum virtvijastrestas varna shrama vibhagasha shvanushtatasya dharmasya samsadir haritoshanam. Whatever our varna or ashram, whatever our occupational or spiritual status may be in society, the only success, the only value is to please Krishna. Perfection of life is simply to please Krishna. Samsadir haritoshanam. And Mahaprabhu, he has given us the simple lesson in this pastime. We please Krishna by identifying ourselves as the servant of the servant of the servant, Anudas. That's the heart of bhakti. Then Krishna is pleased to reveal himself to us. In these concluding words of Sri Caitanya Charitamrita, Srila Prabhupada, he explains a summary of his life to us. And everything he's telling is focused on one principle. that he's simply trying to please his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Prabhupada is giving all credit to his spiritual master. And he's also giving all credit to his disciples. Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya of our society, he taught by his example the spirit of being the servant of the servant of the servant. The Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, lived by that example. Lord Chaitanya tells Sanatana Goswami how pure devotional service is sudurlabha. It is very rare. Why is it so rare? Because one who has true bhakti, Krishna, by his own sweet will, accepts a subordinate position. Krishna is controlled by pure devotion. Tu me sarveshwareshwara brajendra kumara. Krishna is the controller of all controllers. Yet he is controlled by his devotee. So Krishna only gives such pure devotional service to one who, Prabhupada says, is sincere, serious, and has no ulterior motives. And this is something every devotee must be aware of, that we do not have ulterior motives. And every moment of every day, we will be tested. Do we have ulterior motives? Sometimes those tests are very obvious and very enormous, and sometimes appearing unsurpassable. And sometimes just little things. What our decisions, how we deal with other people, how we actually are identifying ourselves as a servant of the servant. Bhakti is to put Krishna in the center. That means we take ourselves out of the center. Material life, everyone is putting themselves in the center. Janasya moho yamaham mameti. These misconceptions of I am this body, and then we start to think all of the identifications we have, our nationalities, our religion, our race, our particular status. And what is mine? I and mine. The truth is, I'm the eternal servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. Mamaivam so jiva loke jiva bhuta sanata. I'm a part and parcel of Krishna. Jivera swarupoi Krishna nityadas. I'm an eternal servant of Krishna. That's truth. And what is mine? The opportunity to serve. For one who captures this spirit of rising above ulterior motives by having this sense of identity, Krishna makes it clear at every moment. And time takes everything away from us. Padam padam yadvi padam natesham. And it could happen at any moment. Whatever we know, whatever we have, whatever we could do, whatever our position is, it can be taken away in a moment. So Bhagavad-gita is telling, don't hold on to these things that are fleeting and inevitably will be stripped away from us. Hold on to what is permanent. There's only one thing permanent in all of creation, in all of existence. And that is the soul's love for Krishna and Krishna's love for the eternal soul, which is expressed through seva. There are so many beautiful examples in our scriptures of how Krishna, who cannot be seen by material eyes, cannot be heard with material ears, allows himself to be seen and to heard and to touch by his own sweet will. In Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, during the Mahaprakash Lila, Mukunda Dutt was behind a curtain at the house of Srivas. He was seeing how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was calling each and every devotee individually in front of all others and fulfilling all their spiritual desires. He was revealing to them the eternal form that they would worship. He was revealing to them their eternal identity. And he was giving them every benediction. But he didn't call on Mukunda. Mukunda was crying. He wouldn't come without being called. Srivas, he said to Lord Chaitanya, "Why are you not calling Mukunda? You love his kirtan. Whenever he sings, we all dance. We all get flooded with love for Krishna. Call him. He's not going to be able to maintain his life unless you call him." And Lord Chaitanya, he said, "I will not call that. I do not want to see that wretch Mukunda." When Lord Chaitanya said that, all the devotees, they all got to see Lord Chaitanya in his eternal form of Krishna or Ram, according to their desires. They had all the benedictions of spiritual perfection given to them, yet they were all in misery because they couldn't be happy if Mukunda was not happy. That's Vaishnava society. Most of us would have said, "Well, that's too bad, Mukunda. I got what I wanted. I got the eternal, supreme spiritual perfection just a few minutes ago. Mukunda, you must have, it's too bad." No, they couldn't be happy. That's how much they loved each other. That's Vaishnava. Srivas said, "What did he do?" And Lord Chaitanya referred to something of the past where he associated with those of the Mayavad influence who did not accept the eternal form of the Lord as supreme. Anyways, Mukunda was crying, "Will I ever get to see the Lord?" And Srivas repeated that question, and Lord Chaitanya said, in a very angry voice, he said, "After 10 million births, he will see me." Now, for most of us, we want to see Krishna today, some of us. After 10 million births, when Mukunda heard that, he danced in ecstatic joy. He was crying, "Only 10 million births, I will see the Lord, and only 10 million births, I will see. When the devotees saw that, they were shocked. Such faith. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw it and he smiled and he said, "Bring Mukunda now." The devotees went to Mukunda, but Mukunda was so much in a transcendental trance, saying, 10 million births only, I will see. They said, "Mukunda, he wants to see you now," but he was in another world. They had to pick him up and carry him to Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya said, "Because you had so much faith in my words, therefore all your offenses are completely destroyed. In fact, you never really made any offense. And I will show myself to you today. He was understanding the value of prema bhakti. We can't take these things cheaply. We can't just by memorizing some slokas expect to be a gopi. These are very, very high subjects. And when we understand the value of them, we become very humbled. We feel that we're unqualified, we're unworthy. We read this, we sing the songs of Narottam Das Thakur, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, the prayers of Srila Prabhupada. They're seeing Krishna, they're tasting prema, but they're always expressing their hearts before God and others how unqualified they are. Mahajano yena gata satpanta. They're setting the standard we should aspire for. Mukunda, he offered beautiful prayers to Lord Chaitanya. He said, I have no devotion, but yet I'm seeing you. And I'm so happy. And then he explained what we're reading today's verse. How we can't really see Krishna unless Krishna wants to reveal himself to us. And Bhaktya Mam Abhijananti, he only reveals himself to us when we have true devotion. Mukunda Dutt said, Duryodhana, at his palace in Hastinapur, somewhere around where we are, Krishna revealed his Virat Rupa, his universal form to Duryodhana. And Duryodhana was not happy. In fact, he was quite miserable to see it. He couldn't appreciate, he was seeing Krishna, but he couldn't see Krishna. Because he was envious of devotees. And then he explains in Vidarbha, near where His Holiness Lokanath Maharaj spent his childhood. Krishna came to kidnap Rukmini and Shishupal, Jarasandha. So many great heroes were seeing Krishna face to face, but they were unhappy because they had no bhakti. They couldn't recognize Krishna. Hiranyaksha was standing right in front of Varahadev, and his brother Hiranyakashipu was looking face to face, touching, fighting with Narasimhadev. But they were not feeling any happiness. Yayatamam prapadyante tams tataiva bhajamyaham, because they weren't surrendering. They had no devotion. And these were powerful people. Ravana, he could not recognize Ramchandra, although Ramchandra was right in front of him. He was trying to kill Ram. So what does it mean to see God? Srila Prabhupada says we cannot see God with our eyes because our eyes are material. And God, and Krishna Satchidananda, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. We can only see Krishna When Krishna reveals himself in reciprocation to our devotion, our humility, to the degree we're taking shelter of Krishna. Tatena kampam susamikshamano bunjana evatma kritam vibhagam. What does it mean to take shelter of Krishna? We can talk about it. We could teach others about it. But what does it actually mean? It means living in a spirit where even when difficult things come to us, with a grateful heart, we surrender to Krishna. Kubja was a simple, illiterate, hunchback woman who was a servant of Kamsa. That's not a very prestigious situation. Physically, she was very ugly. And she was serving a Rakshasa. But because she approached Krishna with humble devotion, Krishna revealed himself to Kubja. He revealed himself to the wives of the Brahmins, but not the Brahmins themselves. The Brahmins, they were very, very learned in all the scriptures, in all the rituals. They were famous. Their wives were just simple housewives. But they surrendered to Krishna. They took shelter of Krishna. So Krishna revealed his true self to them and awakened their love. Lord Chaitanya told Mukunda Dutt, there was a washerman in Mathura. He had performed millions of births of tapasya and learning scriptures just to see me. And I came. He was a washerman with a little shop in Mathura. I came to him and I said, please give me some cloth. And he chastised me. He said, these are Kamsa's cloths. How dare you ask for Kamsa's cloth? Bad association. Millions of births he did, tapasya, to see Krishna, and now Krishna is fulfilling his wish. And he's saying, give me some cloth. But due to association, bad association, he couldn't recognize who Krishna was. And he chastised Krishna. So what did Krishna do? He cut off his head. Hare Krishna. With his hand. He didn't even bother getting his Sudarshan chakra. Of course, the man got liberated by Krishna's mercy. But Lord Chaitanya is teaching very emphatically, if we don't have love, if we don't have devotion, if we don't have a sincere will to serve without ulterior motives, there's no other way to seek Krishna. But Krishna cannot hide from his pure devotees. That's his supreme will, because he's conquered by love. There's another place that Vrindavan Das Thakur explains when Lord Chaitanya was living in Puri. Everyone knew that Lord Chaitanya wanted to set a very important teaching for the world, because there's so much impersonal, so much mayava that we become God, that we are God. Lord Chaitanya was God. But if anyone would proclaim him to be God, he would hold his ears with his hands and say, Vishnu, 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 do not corrupt me by speaking such things. I am the eternal servant of Krishna. Only on rare occasions to his most intimate devotees did he reveal that he was. So Lord Chaitanya would get angry when his devotees would publicly proclaim him to be Krishna. But one day, Sri Advaita Acharya, he's the one that called Lord Chaitanya to come to this world. He was very fearless. he said to the devotees, today we are going to have a kirtan, and in this kirtan we will publicly proclaim Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is by his mercy that he's flooding the world with the Sankirtan movement. Whatever respect or honor that we're getting, it's only because of his mercy. So today, we will only glorify Lord Chaitanya, who is the Supreme Narayan, who's the Lord of Vrindavan, who's the friend of the most fallen, and who's most merciful to all of us. Advaita said that you chant and I will dance. Because he was so enthusiastic about this kirtan. He said, if I chant, it will be like 10,000 millions of lions and everyone will be afraid. So the devotees were fearful. What if Lord Chaitanya hears we're doing this? He's forbidding us to do this. He's not allowing people to know who he truly is. But Advaita, how could they say no to him? He's like the guru for everyone. So they were afraid of Lord Chaitanya, but they were afraid of Advaita too. So Advaita started to chant and he started to dance, and they were all chanting and they were all dancing. They were singing such beautiful prayers very loudly. Jai Sachinandan, Jai Gaur Sundar Narayan. Jai Gaur Gopal, the establisher of the Sankirtan movement. He's the Lord of Vrindavan. He's the Lord of Vaikuntha. He's the cause of all causes. He's the source of everything that exists. All incarnations are emanating from him. This is the way they were chanting. And he's appeared as the son of Sachi. And Advaita was dancing so ecstatically. It was enthusing the devotees to chant louder and louder and louder. Soon the kirtan became tumultuous. So much so that Lord Chaitanya heard it. He didn't hear the details. He just heard loud chanting. So he came. And they were dancing, they were singing. He came right up to the kirtan. And then he heard what they were singing. According to the Shastra, he was embarrassed. And he was appearing to be very displeased. But the devotees were not afraid. When they saw Lord Chaitanya embarrassed and displeased, and they saw Advaita dancing so blissfully, they became even more blissful. In the presence of Lord Chaitanya, the kirtan got louder and louder and louder and more enthusiastic, to the extent that Lord Chaitanya turned around and walked away. He went back to the Gambhira, and just to show his apparent displeasure, he laid down. The devotees, the kirtan getting louder at every moment with enthusiasm, they followed him. They were outside of the Gambhira crying out, Jai Shri Brajendra Kumar Shri Krishna has appeared as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to establish pure love of God to everyone in this world. Lord Chaitanya just laid there. And soon thousands and thousands of people were gathering. Then Govinda, Lord Chaitanya's servant, said, my Lord, the devotees are outside waiting for you. And Lord Chaitanya said, bring them in. So some of them came into his Gambhira. And Lord Chaitanya said to Srivas, he said, you are a great scholar. You are all learned people in the scriptures. You know that when the Lord wants to hide, it's nobody's business to try to do this. Why are you against my will? And Srivas laughed. And as he was laughing, he took his two hands and looked toward the sun and moved his hands like this. That was his answer. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to Srivas, "What are you doing with your hands? What kind of gesture is this, putting your hands in front of the sun?" And Srivas laughed even more. He said, "My Lord, I'm covering the sun with my two hands. But I cannot cover the sun with my two hands." And similarly, your glories and your opulences as the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot, even you cannot cover them. Now, my Lord, what are you going to do? Because now there's thousands and thousands of people from Chhattisgarh and from Sylhet and from Srihata and from all these different places. They're all gathered and they're all chanting your glories as the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Now, throughout the world, your true identity is known. You cannot hide anymore. And what did Lord Chaitanya say? He smiled. He said, "Srivas, you have conquered me. You have defeated me." The Lord agrees to be revealed by the compassion and by the love of his devotee. Actually, except for some places in Bengal, most of the rest of India did not know the true identity of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What to speak of Europe and Africa and Russia and Australia and America? Practically no one understood the Yuga Avatar, the most merciful of all incarnations, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One time, Srila Prabhupada was asked, what was our qualification for understanding this highest truth and receiving Lord Chaitanya's mercy? Srila Prabhupada, with total humility, honestly responded. He said, "You had no qualifications." Then Prabhupada said, "I made your qualifications." And that's something we should all appreciate every day. It's by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada that he revealed Krishna, he revealed Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to people all over the world. The Sankirtan movement, King Prataparudra. There's a beautiful story in Puri. When Lord Chaitanya was chanting at the Ratha Yatra, he manifested himself to be dancing in all the 7 Sankirtan parties simultaneously, and every party was thinking, Lord Chaitanya is only with me. But King Prataparudra, it describes the great wonder. He could see 2 things. He could see Lord Chaitanya in all 7 parties simultaneously. Practically no one else was that revealed to. And he could also directly perceive that Lord Chaitanya and Lord Jagannath, who he was dancing in front of, were the exact same person. How is that possible? Because before the Ratha Yatra, he took the simple role of being a street sweeper before Lord Jagannath. Not only in form. Sometimes we get politicians coming, sweeping our Ratha Yatras for votes. But King Prataparudra, Lord Chaitanya, he's Saragrahi. He sees the essence. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hrideshirjanatishtati. He is within the heart of every living being. He knows our motives. Lord Chaitanya was saying that King Prataparudra, when he was sweeping the street, it was from his heart. His true identity was he was doing this humble servant for Lord Jagannath and for all the devotees. And previous to that, he had pleased the Vaishnavas like Ramananda Rai and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya by his service. So Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave King Prataparudra the opportunity to actually see his supreme opulence. And later on, in the garden, during the Ratha Yatra ceremony, Lord Chaitanya revealed his supreme opulences of being Krishna to the king. Srila Prabhupada, he revealed Krishna to us as he is. He revealed the holy names. He has revealed the beautiful forms of the deities in temples all over the world. What to speak of all over Delhi. There's more temples and deities in Delhi than most continents. By the glory of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj, His Holiness Lokanath Maharaj, and the Vaishnavas. His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj, Bhakti Vinod Maharaj, Devaki Nandan Prabhu, and Revati Nandan Prabhu, and His Grace Mahaman Prabhu, and all these Vaishnavas who are assembled. They've given their lives to assist Srila Prabhupada. By Srila Prabhupada's love, by his compassion, he's revealing Krishna, revealing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the world. And the spirit of Srila Prabhupada is so much beautifully described in this concluding words of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And I'd like to end by reading. 1974, that means how many years? 44. Today is the 44th, very auspicious, 44. Everything's auspicious if it's connected to Krishna. Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranasham. Anything, Nama Sankirtanam Vishnu Jagan Mangalamanghasam. That whatever is connected to Krishna and Krishna's name becomes supremely auspicious. Today, Sunday, November 10th, 1974, 44 years ago today, corresponding to the 10th of Kartik, Chaitanya era, 488, the 11th day of the dark fortnight, the Ram Ekadasi. We have now finished the English translation of Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami's Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita in accordance with the authorized order of His Divine Grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. In case anyone was sleeping, that was... That's divine intervention into your sleep. My beloved eternal spiritual master, guide, and friend, although according, this is very important, this is such an important message, although according to material vision, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, passed away from this material world on the last day of December 1936, I still consider His divine grace to be always present with me by His Vani, His words. There are two ways of association, by Vani and by Vapu. Vani means words, and Vapu means physical presence. Physical presence is sometimes appreciable and sometimes not. But Vani continues to exist eternally. Therefore, we must take advantage of the Vani, not the physical presence. The Bhagavad-gita, for example, is the Vani of Lord Krishna. Although Krishna was personally present 5,000 years ago and is no longer physically present from the materialistic point of view, the Bhagavad-gita continues. In this connection, we may call to memory the time when I was fortunate enough to meet His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, sometime in the year 1922. Srila Prabhupada had come to Calcutta from Sridham Mayapur to start the missionary activities of the Gaudiya Math. He was sitting in a house at Ulta Donga. For those devotees in Calcutta who are here, please take that very seriously. He was sitting in a house at Ulta Donga when, through the inducement of an intimate friend, the late Sriman Narendranath Mullik had the opportunity to meet His Divine Grace I had the opportunity to meet His Divine Grace for the first time. I do not remember the actual date of the meeting, but at that time, I was one of the managers of Dr. Bose's laboratory in Calcutta. I was a newly married young man, addicted to Gandhi's movement, and dressed in khadi. Fortunately, even at our first meeting, His Divine Grace advised me to preach the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in English in the Western countries. Because at that time, I was a complete nationalist, a follower of Mahatma Gandhi's, I submitted to His Divine Grace that unless our country were freed from foreign subjugation, no one would hear the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu seriously. Of course, we had some argument on this subject, but at last I was defeated and convinced that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message is the only panacea for suffering humanity. I was also convinced that the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was then in the hands of a very expert devotee, and that surely the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would spread all over the world. I could not, however, immediately take up His instructions to preach, but I took His words very seriously and was always thinking of how to execute His order, although I was quite unfit to do so. In this way, I passed my life as a householder until 1950, when I retired from family life as a vanaprastha. With no companion, I loitered here and there until 1958, when I took sannyas. Then I was completely ready to discharge the order of my spiritual master. Previously, in 1936, just before His Divine Grace passed away at Jagannath Puri, I wrote him a letter asking what I could do to serve him. In reply, he wrote me a letter dated 13th December 1936, ordering me in the same way to preach in English the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as I had heard it from him. After he passed away, I started the fortnightly magazine Back to Godhead sometime in 1944 and tried to spread the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through this magazine. After I took sannyas, a well-wishing friend suggested that I write books instead of magazines. Magazines, he said, might be thrown away, but books remain perpetually. Then I attempted to write Srimad Bhagavatam. Before that, when I was a householder, I had written on Srimad Bhagavad-gita and had completed about 1,100 pages. But somehow or other, the manuscript was stolen. 1,100 pages stolen. Prabhupada never gave up his mission of compassion. In any case, when I had published Srimad Bhagavatam first canto in 3 volumes in India, I thought of going to the USA. By the mercy of His divine grace, I was able to come to New York on September 17, 1965. Since then, I have translated many books, including Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, a summary, and many others. In the meantime, I was induced to translate Sri Chaitanya Caritamrta and publish it in an elaborate version. In his leisure time in later life, His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur would simply read Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. It was his favorite book. He used to say that there would be a time when foreigners would learn the Bengali language to read Chaitanya Charitamrita. The work on this translation began about 18 months ago. Now, by the grace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, it is finished. In this connection, I have to thank my American disciples, especially Shriman Pradyumna Das Adhikari, Shriman Nitai Das Adhikari, Shriman Jaya Doita Das Brahmachari, and many other boys and girls who are sincerely helping me in writing, editing, and publishing all these literatures. I think that His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is always seeing my activities and guiding me within my heart by His words. As it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adakavaye, spiritual inspiration comes from within the heart, wherein the Supreme Personality of Godhead in His Paramatma feature is always sitting with all His devotees and associates. It is to be admitted that whatever translation work I have done is through the inspiration of my spiritual master, because personally I am most insignificant and incompetent to do this materially impossible work. I do not think myself a very learned scholar, but I have full faith in the service of my spiritual master, His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. If there is any credit to my activities of translating, it is all due to His Divine Grace. Certainly, if His Divine Grace were physically present at this time, it would have been a great occasion for jubilation. But even though He is not physically present, I am confident that He is very much pleased by this work of translation. He was very fond of seeing many books published to spread the Krishna consciousness movement. Therefore, our society, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, has been formed to execute the order of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu and His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. It is my wish. Please, this is the conclusion of the concluding words. It is my wish that devotees of Lord Chaitanya all over the world enjoy this translation. And I am glad to express my gratitude to the learned men in the Western countries who are so pleased with my work that they are ordering in advance all my books that will be published in the future. On this occasion, therefore, I request my disciples who are determined to help me in this work to continue their cooperation fully. May I read that again? On this occasion, therefore, I request my disciples who are determined to help me in this work to continue their cooperation fully, so that philosophers, scholars, religionists, and people in general all over the world will benefit by reading our transcendental literatures, such as Srimad Bhagavatam and Sri Caitanya Caritamrta. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to Sri Caitanya Caritamrita, dated November 10th, 1974, at the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, Hare Krishna Land, Juhu, Mumbai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thank you very much.